hustle on the mission. Grinding for that spot, a brand new pot to piss in. Trying to school my partners, I don't think they pay attention. I'm sticking to my vision, on the road to the riches. Every single day, I'm a hustle on the mission. Trying to get 100 M's, nigga, I ain't kidding.
Yeah, I'm on a mission. Every single day I'm on a mission. Hustlers on a mission every day. Sponsored by dividendsapparel.com. Remember, whatever you do, make sure you do it capital and create a positive impact today and later. Fuck them haters. Get your paper straight like that. And never forget, real niggas do what they want to do. Bitch niggas do what they can. Hoe ass niggas gonna talk about it, and fuck niggas gonna hate regardless. I promise you that. And yeah, man, I'm back. I've been trying to shake life. You know what I'm saying? Get rid of this headache. Get rid of a lot of different shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Happy hump day or whatever this is for you motherfuckers. Ooh. Hey, and prayers up to that boy Tory, man. He survived. He survived the attacks. You know what I'm saying? Some niggas don't make it from. You feel me? Stabbed 14 times. 14 times? They say Tory got stabbed 14 times. Let me add that. "14 times is crazy." What the fuck was the guard said? I seen something saying shit. A nigga hit him with 2 knives, had a knife in each hand. I don't know how true that shit is, but we finna get to the story right now. And notice, you see how much all this extra shit, all this extra evidence and all this shit coming out with the case? Saying they could help him get out early and all this shit now. Like he wasn't even supposed to even be in there. After he damn near got killed in that motherfucker. The irony, right? The irony of it all. That shit crazy. But we're gonna get into it right now, man. We're gonna see what the hell going on. Shit. Fixing some shit up right quick. Fixing this shit up right quick. Alright. Yeah, man. Prayers up for that boy Tory, cause that's some bullshit. So now they say it's finna be a war, right? A race war in the motherfucking in the prison now. Cause the Mexican did that. Now the story was supposedly it happened because it was disrespect. They say he's dude, the suspected nigga that stabbed him, say Tory disrespected his girl and shit in visitation and some shit like that. But other sources say Tory hasn't even had visitation, right? So he ain't even able to go in that area and shit like that to disrespect nobody. People's like that. So unless he says shit to the man directly about some shit when they was having, who knows? I don't know. They couldn't disrespect unless he said some shit like, "Oh man, why he was on the way to visitate? Oh man, I gotta go visitate some shit." You know, I need, but man, I don't know. I ain't finna speculate what a nigga say, but you know, nigga be like, "Shit, if I can't go to visitation, then you telling me about your man? Fuck your visitation, bitch. I want to hear that shit." Well, let's see what's going on with my boy Tory. At least he, you know what I'm saying, It was news his lungs collapsed, and he started breathing back on his own. So that boy gonna pull through. He a soldier though. You feel me? Ain't no way you get stabbed 14 times and pull through like you ain't no damn soldier. You feel me? So we finna all right, we're gonna pop it off right here then.
With y'all and y'all rocking with me. And for this video, we're going to be speaking on Tory Lanez getting stabbed inside a prison and the man who did it. May 12, 2025, located north of Los Angeles lies the California Correctional Institution in Tehachapi, California. In 2021, the prison closed its minimum custody facility, meaning its 2,600 inmates were level 3 or level 4. These are the most dangerous levels in California State Prison, where race, gangs, and strict politics are enforced with deadly consequence. The only step above this would be the maximum security inmates housed within the security housing unit, otherwise known as the SHU, a disciplinary confinement reserved for the prison's most violent, whose only escape from a cell is a human dog cage. It was 7:20 in the morning when 32-year-old Daystar Peterson, who's more commonly known as the rapper Tory Lanez, was violently attacked. TMZ would originally report multiple sources, including a corrections officer, claimed Tory was on the prison yard, but an updated report from a representative of the California Department of Corrections would clarify Tory was attacked within a housing unit. Prison staff rushed into the unit administering first aid, while quickly determining Tory suffered life-threatening injuries, forcing them to call 911. Video would emerge of who's believed to be Tory Lanez landing in a life flight helicopter at Kern Medical Center in Bakersfield, California, an hour-long drive from the prison. With that distance, a helicopter was the only form of transportation able to move him fast enough to save his life. A message to Tory Lanez's Instagram account would state he'd been stabbed 14 times, 7 wounds to his back, 4 to his torso, 2 to the back of his head, and 1 to the left side of his face. Both of his lungs collapsed, and he had to be placed on a breathing apparatus. Luckily, Tory was breathing on his own, and despite the pain, was talking normally, in good spirits, and deeply thankful to God that he is pulling through. He also wanted to thank everyone for their continued prayers and support. Based on his wounds, it can be assumed Tory was attacked from behind, as the majority of his wounds struck his back and behind his head. Initially, no word was released as to who did it, leaving room for speculation. Because this took place in California, the only time someone is stabbed and it doesn't result in a race riot is if they are stabbed by their own race. But that isn't the case here. Compton rapper Spider Loc would post a conversation with a current inmate at Tehachapi. The man would claim Tory was on a tier full of Mexicans when a Mexican stabbed Tory. He'd confirmed Tory had to be airlifted from the prison, and the prison was placed on lockdown. He'd also confirmed, as soon as the lockdown is lifted, the blacks will be seeking revenge on the Mexicans.
What's good?
What's cracking?
What it do, Fard?
Shit, nothing much to look, right? This morning, brother, the Mexican out and bust on the boy Tory. You know, they airlifted him and all that, so that's gonna respond when we come off this shit. We're gonna respond the right way to that.
They laid the yard down.
No, it happened in the building.
What was it over? It was over. So what he had did he have a debt, a gambling debt or something?
Nah, nothing like that. Shit, we don't even really know. We don't even know the whole situation, you know.
So it was just like some foul play. So it's gonna be up.
Yeah, it's for sure with some foul play.
Damn, cuz. Wasn't nobody right there with him? Wasn't nobody right there with him when he went down?
Yeah, I guess nobody wasn't. He was by himself out there. He got a whole tier full of necks. He on a whole tier full of necks.
Wow.
But you already know, once we get on this shit, we press play on, we press play.
I'm already knowing. God damn.
Tehachapi has a known reputation for being SNY, otherwise known as a special needs yard. These yards are known to house gang dropouts, snitches, sex offenders, and anyone else whose life is threatened by being in general population. But California has also recently implemented 50-50 yards, half general population, half SNY, to integrate the two prison societies. This goes against strict prison gang politics, mainly for the Mexicans and whites who are allegedly forced to attack any rival or SNY inmate to essentially remove themselves from the yard until they are placed back in general population amongst the quote-unquote honorable convicts. While general population is deadly, it's controlled chaos, and SNY yards can be just as dangerous, if not worse, as the gang politics that keep things in line go out the window and violence becomes rampant. It's unclear if Tory was in fact SNY, as that comes with its own bad reputation within prison, but it's likely Tory was placed on a 50-50 yard, and his politics didn't require him to remove himself. Now, Tory's attacker would be identified as 42-year-old Santino Casio, a man with a dark, violent history.
Hey everybody, it's Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi. I have a question for you. If you had to make a choice,
like he already in the
massive
like
impact
he
on
just in
people's
there.
lives or having real financial
He
freedom,
just in
which
there
would
mad
you
at
pick?
niggas that's finna get out. They got some success already. He know a nigga finna get
On
out.
June 8th, 2022, a then 20-year-old Santino, who went by the name Sonny, was heard arguing with his 13-year-old girlfriend. Minutes later, she was shot in the face with a shotgun. Santino would go on the run for 2 weeks before being arrested. His own family would testify against him in court, how they heard the argument before the blast. A coroner would testify the barrel must have been 4 inches away from the girl's face before it went off. An interview from the day he was arrested would be played at trial, where Santino admitted to having a relationship with the 13-year-old girl for a month before the shooting. The girl was a runaway, while Santino was on parole from the California Youth Authority for burglary. In 2004, Santino would be sentenced to life in prison for murdering 13-year-old Evelyn Candejas and 2 other attempted murders from 2 separate stabbings. While in prison, he'd be sentenced to an additional 6 years for a prison stabbing on another inmate, and in 2018, he was sentenced to an additional 2 years for possessing a knife in prison. Santino Casio was as dangerous as they come, but his conviction for murdering a 13-year-old girl he'd been dating confirms he was definitely an SNY inmate, as he'd never be allowed to walk in general population without being stabbed or killed. Why he chose to attack Tory Lanez is unknown. Many question if Tory was targeted because of his own conviction for allegedly shooting his former friend Meg Thee Stallion. The fact that he had a female victim, many would assume would be reason enough for him to be hit. But Santino's case is far worse than Tory's could ever be portrayed, and offers no motive as to why this happened. Tory Lanez is expected to survive, and it can also be expected that Santino be placed in the shoe and receive additional time in prison for this attack. But what is more time to someone who's already serving a lifetime? A superstar rapper once on top of the world, now surrounded by killers with nothing to lose because of a stupid decision that changed the entire course of his life. Tory is lucky to have survived this, and hopefully remains lucky enough to survive the remaining years of his 10-year prison sentence. Now, when Tory was sentenced to prison, everybody assumed one or two things. One is his money and celebrity status is going to keep him safe. And 2, because he has a female victim, he could be targeted. I don't know if either one played a role in this, but the fact that
neither one did.
Tory was damn near killed right? Because prisons don't call in a helicopter for nothing. They all have medical units within the prison. Like if it's superficial, they'll fix you. The fact that he had to be airlifted, his lungs collapsed, Tory almost got killed. This was a serious stabbing. Anytime a helicopter lands, it's serious. The fact that he survived this and the fact that he was hit up in the first place shows you how real prison is. Your celebrity status is not going to protect you. If you're accessible, it can happen to you. The fact that Tory was on an SNY yacht, from my understanding, doesn't mean he necessarily went PC for protective custody. From my understanding, the black race in California State Prison doesn't have to remove themselves from SNY yards because their politics don't do that. The whites and the Mexicans will not stay on a 50-50 yard. It's required that they remove themselves. The reason they do that is so they don't run into pieces of shit like Santino Casio, a man that murdered a 13-year-old girl that he was dating, right? General population, they don't want him there. So if he goes there, they remove him. But if they get placed into a dorm or a unit where they're surrounded by weird fucks like that guy, they got to pop on somebody to remove themselves. The reality is, if Tory was never at that spot around that guy, this would have never happened. And that's the thing about general population. Even though it's so strict, it's controlled chaos. That's why when Spider Loc was questioning his boy inside of the prison, he was asking, was it a gambling debt or something? Did Tory do something? What would cause someone of another race to attack him? Because under controlled politics, that doesn't happen like that. But in this situation, with SNY inmates, there's no rules and everything is off limits, resulting in Tory Lanez damn near being killed. But let me...
Yeah, man. I hope that boy feeling better. I know that boy in so much pain right now. It was just a few days, 2 days ago. You know what I'm saying? Like 7 times in your back, 4 times in your torso. He took one to the face, so that means he probably gonna have a scar. You know what I'm saying? He gonna come out that bit like new Scarface. He gonna come out that bit. I wouldn't be surprised. He come out that bit like Pop. He gonna come out that bit worse than Pop did. Especially if that shit true about how they lied when they switched that shit up on him. And Kelsey the one shot. So look, it's this shit, right? When they was coming out with the story, we finna look at this shit right now. Matter of fact, I'm finna see what the fuck. We finna pull this bitch up right now. They were talking about it. They were talking about a lot of different stuff. On some shit. We finna see what they going to.
Tory Lanez for being here. My name is Sunstar Peterson, well known as the father of Tory Lanez, but his family affectionately knows him as Daystar Peterson. This may seem not even to matter today, but it does. Peterson. This may seem not even to matter today, but it does to me. The reason why he bears the name Daystar is because I was scheduled to speak in a conference in Washington, D.C. back in the early 2000s. Back in the late 90s. My wife and I stayed in a hotel across the river in Northern Virginia. I was up praying before that conference that I was supposed to speak at that evening. As I paced back and forth in my hotel suite praying, I began to quote the scripture from 2 Peter chapter 1, and it states, "For you will do well to take heed as unto a light shining in the dark place,
father right here.
until the day dawns and the day star arises in your heart." I didn't know whether it was a boy or girl in my late wife's womb. But I heard the Holy Spirit said to me, that is the name of your child. That's why he bears that name today. Now we're standing in the United States of America, land of the free and the home of the brave. I have watched from afar, being a Canadian. I have watched as presidents, innumerable, and other officials place their hand on the Bible and swear a sacred oath to uphold justice, to uphold truth, because that's what justice demands. So before I go any further, based on the courtroom that I stood in 508 days or so ago and heard my son convicted, is a court in the federal reality of things that also holds the Bible higher than judges. And so I'm going to pray a very short prayer before I get started here today, or to let you go free. And I have come to bear witness of the truth, upon which Pontius theology. It's not a doctrine, and it certainly is not a religion. Truth is a person. His name is Jesus Christ, who said, I am the way, the truth that leads you to life. Father, upon the basis of your word today that this nation was founded upon, I ask that every ear that needs to be opened, including the ear of the governor of the state of California, and let this be glorifying your name, what God allows. First and foremost, I really do want to thank you again, the press corps, and all of you who have vlogs and channels on YouTube or wherever you stream from. Thank you so much for being here. I would like to thank, in fact, all of those who identify with the name Umbrella as One Umbrella. It was actually launched so that my family would not just be the ones benefiting from whatever fame or fortune, but so that all people, anywhere that need a shelter could come under that umbrella. That's the reason why it was launched by Daystar's brother initially, who is known as Wolfgang Peterson. So I thank all of you who have always been an encouragement to us, who have stood with us. Those of you standing here today with free Tory t-shirts. Jono, can I have that t-shirt right there, please? Those of you who are wearing these and remembering this person, because I want you to understand that from the beginning of this, I stood as far back as 2021, and I watched where a spin doctor for the NBA, now high-powered attorney out of New York, Alex Spiro, ran a campaign to turn my son into a monster in the eyes of the world. At that point in time, God said to us, there is a time to be silent and there's a time to speak. We chose to be silent. And now we've been silent for way too long. The hour demands that we speak. One of the reasons why I stood silent is because I trusted in God, but I also did not want any blowback to affect my son, who was sitting in the belly of the beast. That's why I chose not to speak at that time. I am his father, and that is the second capacity in which I stand before you today as the spokesperson and mouthpiece for my family. Tory has 7 brothers and sisters. He has 5 brothers. He makes up the 5, I'm sorry, and there are 3 sisters. So today I would like to share a few things with you as well. I want to dispel a few rumors because I've been asked to by my son, Daystar, aka Tory Lanez. Number one, Daystar does not have a drinking problem. He does not have a drinking problem, and that was not the reason why this situation happened. He was not out on the yard, as it was about 6:30 in the morning, and cells were just opened for them to be able to go out to breakfast. On the Thursday prior to this incident, I was called by him, and I was told of the impending threat. And my family and I huddled and did what we always do. We prayed. We get together every single day and we pray. Sometimes it is twice per day. Wherever we are in the world, at a certain time, we're on our phones and we are praying. We pray for him. We pray for you. Because our mandate is not about violence. We're not here for vendetta. We're not here for any of those things. My son, as I stood with him in the hospital room on the first day, my wife being present, said, "Dad, I'm not holding any animosity against this guy. I don't want to take any action against him. Whatever the system does, the system does." But that is his stance, and that is our stance. Might I go a little bit further? Because this will not be the first time I've said
You ain't
this
got to worry
publicly.
about it, bro. Them niggas got you. You
I
ain't gonna have
fear
to do shit. You
Megan
ain't got
Thee
to do
Stallion,
shit. Get better.
no
Get
alt
well, my
at
boy.
all.
They gonna handle that
In
shit.
fact,
fast.
we have prayed for her on many occasions in our times of prayer. So this monster that Alex Spiro tried to create,
Somebody gonna pay for
and
that
when
shit.
I
I'm gonna
stood
tell
in
you
the
that right now. I
courtroom on
guarantee
that
somebody
day
end up paying for that shit.
and heard a corrupt prosecutor dismiss the fact that so many people, it was overwhelming the amount of people that sent letters to their office and were called to testify before the courts as they were considering sentence, which had already been decided. And the judge blatantly showed on that day that it really didn't matter what anybody said. It was supposed to be a forum in which it would be decided based on all the extenuating circumstances, etc. But it had already been decided behind closed doors. It's so funny that there is indeed a woman who has made it her life's mission to be the whip in the press or on the vlogs. I'm not even going to call her name right now, but those who know. Everything that has to do with Tory Lanez, I believe that she is in some way compensated to spread these narratives. And so before the sentence was read in court, she already knew. That's really interesting to me. She already knew because she
pay
had
attention to
discussed
the
it with
people in the
others,
back.
not knowing
I
that it
often
would come
do.
back to us. God is my witness. So moving right along,
I always look at them motherfuckers.
Daystar did not suffer superficial wounds. He was stabbed 14 times, 5 times in his back, 1 under his left cheekbone. In fact, his jaw was open.
Damn.
He was stabbed twice in the back of his head, and the rest in his torso, arms, and in his chest. It may seem sensational, but thankfully, like Dr. King, it was close to his heart, but did not penetrate. After that, he was being rushed to a facility nearby in a vehicle.
Man, this the shit that create monsters, though, bro. I'm gonna tell you right now. This is the shit that creates monsters. This the type of shit that create monsters. This shit right here. Niggas always say Tupac was a certain person until he played Juice and shit, the character in Juice. But in all actuality, I don't think they're taking into account that time, like him getting out of jail. That's when the real transformation began. That's when he really was a whole new person. when he got out of jail from a supposed incident where he felt like bitches was lying on him. So you go from an incident where you feel like bitches was lying on you, and then you got set up by so-called homies, and you been locked up for a certain amount of time, and then you get out, and then you out on bond. You're not even out scot-free. You just out on bond, but you gotta work to, know what I'm saying, pay your bond off for the people that just bailed you out. Hell yeah, that nigga was crazy. That nigga went mad. Nigga snapped on everybody. Everything that was on his mind in that fucking jail, he said that shit. Nigga was wondering why he made so much music in a short amount of time. Cause he had that shit in his head all that time, locked in themselves for all them hours, playing it back to back. That's all you were doing before you went in there. You know how many songs? Oh, yeah, we gonna do this. Knocking out all these songs. Cause all this shit on my head, and I'm talking shit. Man, when Tory got, he finna talk shit. Man, he gonna talk so much shit. Who's to say that them boys ain't try to get him killed in there? He was the main one showing niggas how to get their money independently. Now, if they were really trying to get you up out of there, they lock you up and they know you got a time to get out. They just don't want you to get out. I ain't doubting somebody try to get them hit in there. I ain't doubting that, bro. This is the first incident of that I know of, like recently. It got to be of an artist, a rap or a musician, high profile artist being attacked, like critical condition. I don't think we heard no other stories about no other artists. I remember it was a story about Gucci Man. Gucci Man supposedly killing a nigga in the cell or some shit that tried him. I don't know how true that shit is, but nah, bro. 14 times, nigga stab you 14 times. Nigga trying to get you up out of there, cuz. Nigga was trying to get you up out of there. I don't know who. I don't know what it was. Somebody trying to get him up out of there for something.
In which he said, and I quote, "Dad, I thought it was my last. And having made my peace with God, I said, okay, God, is this how it's supposed to end for me?" But God said no. God told him, "Do not give up." In the car, upon which he turned to the attending officers and he said, "You must get me to wherever is the closest place that I can get to. I'm bleeding out here." He didn't even know his lungs had collapsed. All he knows is that he couldn't breathe. He could hardly speak. Upon which the officer turned around and looked at him and said, "Nah, we got to take him. He has to be airlifted." And thankfully, to God be the glory, he was airlifted. And I want to report to you that I am very thankful to all of the attending nurses, doctors in that facility. They have done an amazing job in their professional capacity. I would also like to publicly say thank you to the COs, the correctional officers that we have seen around him. In fact, these guys have been nothing but kind to him. The system is one thing, but guess what? There are people who work in the system, and some of them still have hearts. Some of them still have a conscience. So as I'm winding down today, I would like to report to all of you who care about Daystar Peterson, the artist Tory Lanez, around the world. The reports in the hospital is that he is doing remarkably well. I was told yesterday, because they had already taken out the tubes that were draining the fluids from his lungs, They had already taken them out by the time my wife and I got there. And I was told by the nurse, in his particular condition, normally they would have had to leave those tubes in at least a couple more days. But yesterday they took him out because they said he is recovering remarkably. All that is left is for the healing of the wounds. So thank you for all the prayers that have gone up sincerely on behalf of Daystar and my family.
When that boy
We
tired,
are truly grateful. But this is not over. So I'm reaching out to every prayer warrior around the world who knows what Christ stands for. Please continue to stand
14 times
with us. As I stated before, Daystar was not drunk on that morning. It was 6:30 in the morning. There was nothing like that.
They don't even
It
know
was
what
an
the fuck.
unprovoked
Didn't he just release something from prison?
attack.
Then he just release it out.
I don't want to go into the details of how it went, although I know them, because it is too gory to be describing right now. And so as I close today, whatever has been needed to be said has been said. So as I close, I want to quote you David, the king of Israel, who said, "You lead me beside still waters and you restore my soul. You lead me in the path of righteousness for your name's sake. And even if I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil." One of the officers turned to me yesterday and he said, "You would be so proud of your boy. He has been in here and he has been praying." I got there to the hospital the first day, and typical Daystar, he was entertaining those officers. They were laughing. They were just, and he said, "Dad, it only hurts to laugh." But something broke my heart yesterday when towards the end of our visit, he said, "Dad, why is it that my life has to go through so many trials? Why? Why do I have to experience this?" And that's the note that I want
Tory
to
just
close
dropped
on
2 months
to
ago.
tell you that this person they've been trying to paint as a monster, that they were so scared when all of those testimonies came in. People I did not even know that he had secretly done things for. This is a guy, he would do things and not even tell anybody. And one young lady called me and said, "I was struggling. I was diagnosed bipolar. I was struggling. My children said your son offered to pay my rent for 1 year while I could recover." The prosecution at the trial, when all of those testimonies came in and said, "Oh my God, you think that we were here to hand out the Nobel Peace Prize?" And that's how he dismissed it. But as I said on the court steps that day, God records all of it. And I know that my son will have justice. I lastly would like to reach out via this medium to say to the governor of the state of California, "Sir, it is in your hand to do something about this. You have the power and the means to examine the evidence that has been presented even to the courts. This is a travesty of justice. And to allow my son to go back into that same situation, a kid that when he went to prison, one of the things he has done so far is through his music to open up the cases of over 467 people through his Hands of God project to help families who can't even pay for justice on behalf of their loved ones." There was a post showed up on YouTube recently, a young man saying, "I'd like to thank Tory Lanez. I would like to thank Unite the People. I'd like to thank all of them for allowing me to be able to be taken off of 4 life sentences." 4. I'm sorry? plus, like, I don't even understand that kind of math. How do you say to a human being whose lifespan is 70, 80, plus 74 years, 4 life sentences plus
more and more information on that Mexican that poked up Tory Lanez have been released. And I've been doing my homework on everything going on. So I'm going to definitely need y'all to hit that like button. We need a quick 500 likes. But when I dropped my last video,
a quick
Wack
5,000.
mentioned that 1090 Jake didn't know what he was talking about. In front of the looks of it, he just probably got some bad secondhand information because 1090 Jake wasn't all the way correct on what he was talking about.
What?
Tory Lanez apparently just got hit up in the California state prison he's in. According to multiple sources, including a corrections officer, Tory was walking the yard at the California Correctional Institution in Tehachapi when he was attacked by another inmate, and it was so severe, he had to be rushed to a nearby hospital that wasn't really nearby. It was in Bakersfield, an hour away. Because of the distance, it's likely that he was life-flighted, and if you've ever been to prison, you know how serious it is when the helicopter touches down. There's a risk that the person even makes it. Now, pretty much no details have been released, but that also means something in itself. This is California. If another race did it, there would have been a race riot. So it's likely that whoever did this was inside Tory's inner circle and will most likely face it.
By now, it was a Mexican by the name of Sanita Casio, who was a person that allegedly poked up Tory Lanez. In front of the looks of it, Tory Lanez's house in a tier with a bunch of Mexicans. And just a few months ago, he was on a video visit recording a verse for his new album. A riot popped off and he was seen being maced, and then the guard was seen locking down the facility.
Hey, I can't say I'm the same from last year. You can see the pain in some eyes and I can't mask it. We was cutting metal off the bunk so we could stash it. 500 on his Zella, make him do gymnastics. See, y'all, he got backflip. Crying in the cell so many nights that I got trapped in. I love him every morning and I got trapped in.
I can't show it for YouTube. You know, YouTube will do like that. YouTube will do all that extra shit. Like, you can't make no money off that. No, YouTube, dude. The boy dropping the verse.
It's looking like Tory Lanez's house in a pretty active prison. Some calling it a SNY yard, some calling it a 50-50 yard. But regardless of it all, it's definitely going down. So this dude, Sanito Casio, is grimy. And Wack 100 revealed more backstory on this dude. And from the sound of it, bruh, it's no good. He talked about Sanito pressing Tory Lanez with 2 knives. And then he talked about his previous charges. And in my opinion, it sounded like the Mexicans may have put out a hit on Tory Lanez.
That's the content up top on the Tory. What he in jail for? He 13-year-old chick. Lancaster somewhere too.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I've seen that.
Slaying 13-year-old. June 12, 2002, the boyfriend of a 13-year-old girl who was found shot to death early Sunday in an apartment. The 2 shared in Lancaster is being sought for her slaying, authorities said Tuesday. Santino Sonny Casio, a 20-year-old parolee, allegedly shot Evelyn Brenda, whatever her last name is, in the head following an argument late Sunday night, said LA County Sheriff Sergeant Rick Myers. Police believe Cadejas, whatever her name is, ran away from home in Palmdale and moved into a duplex apartment on the 1100 block of West Avenue H14 with Casio in April. We didn't know where she was staying, said her cousins, Robert Mendez, 19. She would call just to let us know that she was all right. The last time the family heard from her was Mother's Day, Mendez said. Casio was described as 5'9", weighing 190 pounds, with a shaved head and brown eyes. He has a tattoo of a paw print on the back of his head, and tattoo horns at the front of his hairline. Said Lieutenant Dan Rosenberg, the Sheriff Homicide Bureau. He is currently on parole from CYA for burglary, Rosenberg said. How could this happen to a 13-year-old girl? Said her brother, 26 years old, who declined to give his first name. She's my baby sister. We're trying to do everything we can do to make sure that this person is caught and justice is served. Anyone asked to contact the homicide sheriff. So he caught a body in 02. Now this, how old is what they say? And this is been 23 years. Did they give his age in the last? They say he was like 42 or something. Let me see, 42 minus 23. If he is 42 now, that means he was like 19, 20, 10-year-old. So
7-year difference.
that's where the PC move come from right there. When I read that paperwork. So that's why he PC'd up. He was living in Lancaster. CYA, baby. He's a career criminal. He would.
Like he was sent more and more now.
Yeah, for real. That's what it sound like. You want to make good, handle his business.
Get some disrespect somewhere?
Nah. Tory they ain't got no paths crossed. I can't see that.
Nah.
Tory didn't even have a celly. So
Okay, bro, hear me out. Scenario, right? All right. So, power play. You got him with a check, right? He feeding the opposition. He feeding them good too. They getting it all. How we stop that?
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm gonna be real. I ain't never seen them worry about. I ain't never seen no shit. Never worry about how they was feeding their people, and they ain't never worry about how we was feeding ours. But even with that, just powwowing with the homies, I just had 5 lines. Every double better right there. We talking. I'm like, bro, trying to make sense of this. He said, what? 2 things don't make sense. 1 is 7 in the morning. It's child time. That's right. So what he doing going to breakfast? I said, you right. He said, 2, in order for dude to hit him 14 times, I said, I didn't thought about it. He was double strapped. Had to be it. He said, yeah, but where everybody else at? He said, so did everybody know but Tory? He said, the sum ain't adding up. He said, if Tory the yard helping fields and looking out for whatever building he is in is benefiting more than the yard. I said, you right. He said, where everybody else at? He said, surely the blacks ain't gonna allow Tory to be on the. He said, and actually, I already know how it go. Black, white, Hispanic, black, white, Hispanic. That's how the sales gonna go. So when they release him, it's gonna be at least 10 to is on that. Let me see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 2, 4. He said he's gonna have 8 to 12 blacks on the road, on that road. That's if they ain't racked the whole top and bottom. So he like, well, where the rest? Where everybody else was at when this was happening? He said, we know how the staff rooms happen. He said he must have balled up. He said, which makes sense because he ain't got no training with dealing with that type of combat. You know what I'm saying? He said, for 7 times in the back, 2 to the back of the head, 4 to the upper torso, 1 in the face. I said he double strapped. He got a knife in each hand. He said him tied around his wrist so he can't drop him. So every swing is a hit. So you hit him, he fall, you get on top of him. Hit, he turn. Upper torso, hit. He throw the arms up on it. Face, head. So we kind of figure out how that worked, but it's like, he definitely was, because it's a 50-50 yard, so it's kind of like, well, all the essays, they going to say they're all bad anyway. Ain't nobody good on the But you could be right. I mean, it could be itself to be known for killing Tory Lanez. It could be that.
A question, didn't you say that he was a, what was it, like a put off or something you called it yesterday?
No, he was a 13-year-old, so he automatically a PC off the rip.
Okay, so that's why I'm like, did he do that to try to get his status back? Because that this is just beyond like where the.
That's what I'm saying. They can use people like that, or again, and just be burnt out. Because right now, his face everywhere. His face everywhere. It will forever be etched in history. You know what I'm saying? He already didn't call. This is second ticket. He already got 6 years for another stabbing. Another 2 years, he got caught with a knife. He got 25 to life already. Now he just caught this attempt. So, if I can call a spade.
Hey, if you live in one of these cities right here, why don't you own an apartment building? Seriously, let me show you a path that could absolutely change your life.
He gonna end up going out in an OD heroin shop when he want to. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead on and take him a hot shot and get up out of here.
It's just nasty work. Like, how do you get off that many times? I just like, what the amount of times he was stabbed, I'm just like,
you got 2 knives. That's 9 knives.
Oh, okay, because I'm thinking this is all.
Nah, I guarantee you had 2 knives. But, hey man, some of them professionals, them fast. In 02, he was 100. He was, what they say, 5'9", 190 pounds.
Yeah,
that was 23 years ago. And you talking about 23 years of penitentiary strength. Another 10 years of wide strength. You dealing with team. Dude, guarantee you. I
just
can
an
lay
animal right there.
Now,
This Mexican Casio is all bad in my book. He was 20 years old dealing with a 13-year-old. Then he unalives her. That right there alone is a violation. I don't know how the Mexicans look at dude, but I would want to believe that they looking at him the same way. Then again, he may have did it to Tory Lanez to get back some good favor, or he could have just decided to crash out that morning. Everything is speculation right now on his true intentions on why he did what he did. But all in all, I'm glad that Tory Lanez is going to be good. I'm hearing he got an appeal coming soon. And hopefully.
An appeal? He shouldn't have never even been in that bitch. That's the fucked up thing about it. He should have never even been in that motherfucker. And that shit for some bullshit. We finna go to the bodyguard because the bodyguard said some shit, right, about some new evidence or something, right? Ain't that?
Not long ago, Unite the People was approached by a gentleman named Bradley James. Mr. James informed us he was working as the bodyguard and driver for Ms. Kelsey Harris during Mr. Peterson's trial. As such, he was in close proximity and he had privy to conversations she was having with her husband and others. Mr. James informed us he was not under a non-conflict disclosure. Not long ago, Unite the People was approached by a gentleman named Bradley James. Mr. James informed us he was working as the bodyguard and driver for Ms. Kelsey Harris during Mr. Peterson's trial. As such, he was in close proximity and he had privy to conversations she was having with her husband and others. Mr. James informed us he was not under a non-conflict disclosure agreement or a confidentiality agreement and was free to speak with Unite the People and that he was doing it because his conscience would not let him not speak and leave a man in prison for something he did not do. Mr. James informed Unite the People that he was witness to the conversation Ms. Harris had, where she stated she had the gun, she fired it 3 times. Mr. Peterson grabbed her arm and knocked it down, and the gun fired 2 more times. In essence, Mr. Peterson never shot anybody, never even touched that gun, never fired the gun. This statement aligns the statement of the only non-party witness to the case, Mr. Sean Kelly, who at trial testified he saw 2 women fighting, 2 men break up the fight, 1 man grabbed the other one's arm. Gunshots came from the passenger side. Passenger side is where Miss Harris was sitting. This further iterates that Mr. Peterson did not shoot Miss Pete, did not shoot at Miss Pete, or did not assault Miss Pete. Not long
Yeah, that news would come out right now after he got down, was fighting for his life and shit after being stabbed 14 times and being in there for a couple years already and shit. Yeah, they would do that. They would come out with that news and be feeling all guilty with their conscience and shit and all that type of shit like that. But at the same time, there's somebody talking about a conversation that they overheard somebody say something. Let some people come out and say that shit, which they ain't say shit before. Why would they say this shit now? Anyway, man. Heal up, my boy. Heal up. Take over that shit I was supposed to be took over, man. Do that shit independently, nigga. But you know, they trying to get you up out of here. You might have to go the Machiavelli route too. Shit, hey, you ain't even from this motherfucker. Become a whole new nigga, man. Shit, grow some dreads and shit. You got that doctor, you got your hairline that right, grow some dreads or something. Change your identity up. Hey, down show trying to get you up out of here, bro. For real. Somebody definitely seemed suspicious. Even before the dude was saying that shit seemed like a paid hit. I'm just listening to the shit like it just don't sound right. Like I feel like it's definitely orchestrated. Somebody definitely trying to get that boy up out of here. That boy gotta stay on point all day, every day. He just dropped the album 2 months ago. Somebody hating. And he doing it independently, still from jail. You know they don't like that shit. You know they don't like that shit, man. And you know they don't like that shit, bro. Allegedly news, man. We're gonna get into DDG shit next. Man. Hell up to that boy Tory. Prayers up to that boy, you feel me? They definitely trying to get real niggas up out of here, ain't they? Hey, it's Homie TV Hustles on a mission that day. Hey, whatever you do, make sure you do it capital and create a positive impact today and later. Fuck them haters. Get your paper straight like that. Never forget, real niggas do what they want to do. Bitch niggas do what they can. Hoe ass niggas gonna talk about it and fuck niggas gonna hate regardless. I promise you that. So do your shit to the fullest.
Hey, I'm a hustler on a mission. Grinding for that spot, a brand new pot to piss in. Trying to school my partners home, they pay